Bonjour mes amis, et bienvenue en Pendu dans le Cercle de Lune. Hello friends, if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you already know that by my attempt at a French introduction, this is my series in which I use Terre de Marseille adjacent or antique Italian decks to help me unpack or dive more deeply into a larger spread that I do on the regular. And so I've done the larger spread, although these days my larger spread is not so large. In fact, my larger spread is actually smaller than today's Cercle de Marseille spread because I've been doing a back to basics series within my deep dive into the Thoth system. So my back to basics series is a very small spread. It's a 3-card spread with 2 oracle cards added on. So it's actually smaller than this spread which I'm using to help me understand that 3-card spread more fully. Yeah, and so I think I've landed on a title for that larger spread. I haven't actually edited it yet, but I think the title for that spread is going to be Satisfaction. And it was about how we would want to reach for satisfaction and happiness in order to live our lives more intentionally. And in case you have not already seen that video, I would highly recommend going to watch that video first and then coming back here so that you get the context from which I'm asking this week's question. So just in case you have not seen it, I'll put a card up here for you to click on and you can go on over, watch that, and come on back to watch this. And remember, you don't have to watch any of these videos in one sitting. You can watch them in bits and pieces. That's absolutely fine. Okay? So I recommend doing that. And in case you have already watched that, you'll recall that we had the advice to move towards our own happiness. The challenge that we want to accept for ourselves is to do the alchemy of joining things together to create the new, and that the advice for that spread was to enjoy the work that we've done. Yeah, to enjoy who we are and keep on going where we are in the direction we are going. But enjoy the purr of satisfaction of having created these beautiful bodies that we have and the lives that we are living at the moment. Yeah? And if just in case you're thinking to yourself, what do you mean enjoy this life? I hate my life. This life is blah, blah, blah. Remember, it's always our choice how we are reacting to our lives. Now, there are times when something actually horrific happens. Probably something horrific is not happening to you right now. Probably. And if it is, you should stop watching this video and take care of it right now. Right? But if something horrific is not happening to us at this moment, we always have the choice as to how we are going to accept this moment. Whether we are able to walk or we are unable to walk. Whether we are able to eat or we are unable to eat. We always have the potential to choose how we are going to accept the moment and how we are going to react to the moment. We can always do that. And the advice is now to feel satisfaction for what we have, knowing that we are moving in the direction of more. And this could be your last, or my last moment of life, and still, even though I'm not dead yet, and I'm not dead yet, and I'm not, well, dead. I don't believe there is anything such thing as dead, but even though this body has not stopped working yet, and it's still working now, and it's still working now, and it could stop working right now, in those moments, I have the choice of how I'm going to react to those moments? Am I going to feel satisfaction for what I have accomplished and know that I'm moving in the direction of more? Even after this body ceases functioning, I'm still going to be heading in the direction of more, of evolution in some way. Especially if I allow myself to do that. That's, I think, what the spread of this last spread was teaching us. And so I asked the question, what is the central message of that last 3-card spread with the 2 oracle cards of advice? But what is the central message of that 3-card spread? And I got 3 cards from a Tarot de Marseille deck, and I used 3 cards from an oracle deck. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you those cards. Are you ready? Here they are. So this is a very interesting spread, don't you think? I hope so. The deck I'm using for the Tarot de Marseille is the Joseph Payen deck, I think from 1718 maybe, is when the original was created. The reproduction was created by Tarot Heritage by Yves Renaud. And there will be a link below if you want to get that deck. And the Oracle deck is the Cercle de Lune, which I love using with the Marseille decks. So that, if you want that deck, there will be a link in the description box for that as well. I think it's a beautiful zodiacally based oracle that uses the style of woodblock art that reads beautifully, I think, with a Tarot de Marseille deck. So that's what you saw. And you can get them if you want them from the links below. I don't get any money if you use those links, just so you know. I'll tell you if I ever do get any kickback from links, but I don't have that kind of relationship with any seller yet. We'll see. But if that ever happens, I'll let you know. I'll tell you. So, what are we going to do now? Let me show you the 3 cards from the Tarot de Marseille deck so you can see them more carefully for just a few seconds, and then we'll read those together. Here they are. Those 3 cards, they're a pretty simple reading, right? Yeah, we've got 3 cards in a row, left to right, the 4 of Swords, the 10 of Wands, and the 6 of Coins. We've got 2 active elements, air and fire, and followed up by an earth, a receptive element. Cool. As far as cards butting up against each other, fire and air support each other for the wands and the swords, and then the wands and the coins together, they're neutral. They neither tear each other down nor build each other up. So it's a very even-tempered spread. There are no people looking in any direction, so we're going to read them from left to right, the direction that I laid them out. As far as development goes, we can see a little bit that the flower in the center is... we can see the echo from the large, we have large flower in the center of the 4 of Swords. We have that large weaving pattern in the center of the 10 of Wands. And then we've got a little bitty flower at the end in the center of the 6 coins. So we can see that there's a little bit of a shrinking, perhaps, of the decoration. Not necessarily. I mean, there are ways of looking at the swords and the coins as being very harmonic, very they echo each other, I believe. Yeah, the way that I see these 2 cards in design. Let me see if I can show this to you. Which one is which? So here's the 4 of Swords, right? You see how those swords could become those coins that shape, they echoes each other. And can you see how that large flower there can become this smaller flower in the center of the 6 of coins? So that the swords become the coins and that the flower shrinks a little bit. And that's one way of looking at it, right? The tails of the swords can become the floral arrangement around the 6 of coins, right? The ways of looking at these, even though the swords and coins are elementally ill-dignified, the patterns seem to be very nicely harmonious. So we're just going to read this pretty simply, I think. I don't see any tension or any argument yet within the cards. So we'll start with the 4 of Swords. For me, the 4s, they are stability, they are structure, they are secure. Yeah? So swords being mind and our way of looking things, our point of view, the way of thinking of things, our way of seeing things, our vision for the future, our vision of what's around us, what do we see, what do we think about what we see, how do we communicate about what we think and what we see. All of those things are swords-like things, right? Now, doing those with structure and stability, we have a very conservative way of thinking. And we're not talking about conservative in the sense of liberal conservative, like politically conservative, but more conservative in the sense of we're not breaking out into the new, we're maintaining and conserving the ideas and ways of appreciating the world. Now, we think of conserving the environment, what do we call those? When we preserves, wildlife preserves are a way of conserving diversity of species, right? Now there's a very positive aspect to conservation of resources, conservation of diversity. So here we begin with having a very conservative way of conserving our thought, conserving our expression. We do analysis. We think systematically. We think with form and structure. And we think practically. And our mind allows us to act usefully upon reality as well. Now, we can, from that analysis, from that rational thought, from our clarity of mind, we are able to perform more productively, get stuff done. We are organized and stable, especially of mind. And that's a wonderful thing. Yeah? It's a very good thing for us right now. Which is interesting because the previous spread was mostly about our emotions and the work that we're doing with the cups and the coins. Here, we're asked to carry that into our way of thinking. So we think in a very structured way. Yeah, we analyze. We are careful and observant, and our organized minds help us to perform well in the world. Which leads us to the next card, which is the 10 of Wands. And this 10 of Wands is the card of accomplishment. It's the end of the suit, right? We've accomplished something. Which is cool because the largest spread was all about feeling satisfied with the stuff we've done so far. And so thinking rationally with the 4 of Swords, conservatively, systematically, we appreciate the accomplishments that we have done. Now we've completed a journey. Now that journey in completion, we've completed a milestone perhaps. No journey is ever ending living an intentional life. There is no end to any journey. But we have completed a portion of the journey, we might think. It might be a project that has been completed, or a stage of a project. It could be that we've just arrived at a bench on the path that we're walking. And so we get the moment to get satisfaction from how far we've come so far. Knowing that this isn't the end tends wrap back around to either the beginning of the same suit or we move on to the ace of another suit, right? We could become a teacher. We could become a healer with this card. Now this could be moving into a cups or a swords ace. And our energy, the wands are energy cards, right? They're our passion, our libido. And libido in the sense not of Freud, but rather in the sense of Adler, our place of power. That here is crystallized into spirit. Now, our power has become so pure renified that it is now spiritual. So, we think rationally, we take satisfaction in the accomplishments we've done, we take a break if we want to, and we pat ourselves on the back. Good job. We know we're going to keep going forward because the tens are not the end, but rather the point of re-embarkation. And so the next card is the Six of Coins, which is beauty, right? Sixes are beauty. The enjoyment of the suit. So here, coins, the material, we enjoy the material. We enjoy the creature comforts, which was indicated in this previous spread. I shouldn't say this week's, but this previous spread that we just saw. We could do some self-care. We can enjoy the sensual pleasures, remembering that in the previous spread we were admonished against overindulgence. But enjoy what we've got, yeah? Be generous to ourselves, physically. Enjoy the pleasure of being who we are, where we are, doing what we're doing. Enjoyment of money and of a well-managed economy. Enjoy the stuff that we've got. Yeah, we're going to get more, but enjoy what we've got. Enjoy the beauty of daily life and the sensuality of daily life. That's what this is about. And if you see those coins, we can also think of people sitting around a banquet table, yeah, enjoying the feast. And each one of them investing in things that they love. We invest in each other. So we can enjoy what we have and invest in each other as well. Something that was also pointed out in this previous spread. We have an abundance of resources. So we can have a positive outlook. We can enjoy success. We can enjoy balance between stability and movement. We can have stability in movement as well. Because remember, yeah, we're taking a moment to rest, but this isn't the end of the journey. We're going to move on. So we can move on with balance. And remember, we began with balance, with stability, with systemized practical thinking. And we can continue that. That's what this week's spread, I think, is pointing towards. And I mentioned a lot of echoes from this previous spread that I read with you. Hopefully you came and saw that first. So those echoes are there between these two spreads. Now, we do have three. We have 3 oracle cards from the Cercle de Lune to see if they are going to give us some advice or if they're going to reiterate the message of these 3 cards. So here are those 3 cards from the Cercle de Lune right now. The 3 cards from the Cercle de Lune are not all very happy looking, right? From left to right, we had the torch, then we had the chained one, which doesn't look very happy at all. And then we had the altar, which actually looks pretty good. But you'll notice that we had 2 Mars cards. I just thought of Mars bars. Do you know Mars bars? I never actually liked Mars bars all that much, but I could go for one now. Anyways, so the Mars cards. And then we had Mercury in the altar. Now, Mercury was a prominent player in the previous spread that this spread is coming out of. Yeah? So that's an important thing to note. Mercury was there. And we're going to see Mercury in the secondary planets for the first card as well. So we have that to remember too. So we're going to start with the torch. Now the torch, here we have roosters, which are symbols of courage, of healing, and purification. And speaking of purification, we have a torch there as well, which is a symbol of cleansing and enlightenment. So purification, cleansing, which gives us enlightenment. Wonderful, wonderful. The side title there is Feu, which means fire. Seems very appropriate for a torch. Now, according to Belin, the creator of this oracle, the original creator, fire channels our passions. It channels conquest, spontaneity, and courage. Have you ever thought of chickens as courageous? Well, apparently chickens are a symbol of courage. I never thought of that. So the fire also is channeling all of those things. Our passion, that makes sense. Our courage, that makes sense. Our spontaneity, and our ability to conquer. That's what we're starting off with. We've got a lot of power. And the secondary planet here is Mercury. That's where things can get a little bit tricky. Yeah? With Mercury here in this placement, Mercury is volatile and spontaneous. Spontaneous might be okay. Volatility might not be. So, we want to be careful that sometimes our actions may not be thought through very well. Maybe our communication with Mars, and Mercury is communicative, Mars is aggressive, maybe our communication might be a little bit hurtful. So we want to be careful of that. We want to be careful that the way we're talking to people is nice. We want to be nice or kind or sympathetic. We want to be careful of being hurtful in our communication. And we want to be careful that while we maintain our spontaneity, we don't become hot-headed or volatile, right? So if we can do that, we can act with courage, we can engage our passions, and we can perhaps purify ourselves for enlightenment. We can do all of those wonderful things while avoiding becoming hurtful and volatile and hurting other people's feelings. Right? And now this next card moves us into another Mars card of the chained one. And here we see a human being chained to a post. Right? The side title here is despotisme, which is despotism. The chains here are things being chained between two extremes. Like hot and cold being chained together. Which is interesting because we were, the advice, or the challenge I should say, the challenge for the previous spread was an alchemical card. It was the joining of opposites. But here, rather than the joining of opposites, here we have the sense of bondage, of being bound to something. And that bondage could be something that we are exercising upon others, or we are subject to voluntarily or not. Now we may have voluntarily bound ourselves to something. Think of things that we bind ourselves to. Contracts, couplings, like marriage vows are a kind of bondage. A voluntary bondage. You make promises, you promise something, you've bound yourself to that promise, right? So that's a voluntary bondage, or it could be involuntary. We could be the ones causing the bondage of others, or we could be the subject of the bondage. There are all those possibilities here. Being trapped by influence or circumstances. And yet we could be, the meanings described by Berlin were our intensity, but also resilience, hardworking, and being trustworthy, which is being bound to an oath, right? Being bound to a promise, being bound to a contract, being trustworthy. We can be trustworthy and work hard. We made a promise to do something, we'll do it. Now we're bound, we have bonded ourselves, we have bound ourselves to a task. So there are positive aspects to this card as well, but we want to be careful. Are we causing bondage, involuntary bondage on the part of others? Have we allowed ourselves to be bound involuntarily? Have we acquiesced to bondage, unwanted, or are we accepting it with open hearts, with full agreement? Are we binding ourselves in alignment? We want to make sure, how are we tying ourselves to actions, to people, to whatever? Now, the secondary planet for this one is Saturn, which is a little bit, we want to be careful. Yeah? Saturn is a planet of restriction through obstacles. Yeah, like building walls and barriers and boundaries. And around Mars, there's a potential that the bondage can be destructive. It could portend that the work that we're doing is going to be delayed, or it's going to be a heavy responsibility. Which is interesting because the next card is a very nice card. Yeah, we have a Mercury back again. We had Mercury as the secondary planet with the torch, and Mercury is back again with the altar card here, which is side-titled Union. And the altar is a symbol for a temple, which is a symbol for the universe. So this is our place in the universe, or the universe as a whole. And the hearts here are spirit and our spirit soul in a spiritual purification of flame. We have the flame coming up here. We have the flame in this card as well, right? We have two sets of flames. The torch, which is purification, which is enlightenment. And we have the heart here being purified, enlightened. It's also, the heart is a symbol for love, as well as enlightenment and purification. So we have all those wonderful things, and these two cards seem to be echoing each other, I think. Blaine says this is a card of marriage and intimacy, devotion, or other partnerships as well. Yeah, there could be other partnerships, and it's not it really doesn't look like a marriage reading to me, but there could be partnerships that are important here. A union or a reunion. So we want to join with people, right? The secondary planet here is Jupiter, which helps to soften the secondary planet of Saturn from the previous card, I believe. Yeah? Jupiter is a large, beneficent planet. Saturn is is a maleficent planet. Jupiter here gives order and justice to this card. Partnerships could bring wealth and expansion. So there may be limitations from the previous card, from Saturn, but this card here softens those limitations. And so what do we get? I think this is advice. Now, I think this is advice to find our power, allow that power to purify, but be careful that we don't hurt other people, that we don't burst into flame, like we don't explode like a firecracker or a bomb, but we enjoy our spontaneity and our passion and allow ourselves that spontaneity and that spontaneity and passion to purify ourselves. And at the other end of the spectrum, we use that purification to join with other people. Yeah? As well as to continue purifying our own hearts and spirits and souls. And in the center, we've got that tricky card of the chained one, which means that there's going to be some kind of bondage here. But I think we have the choice how that bondage is going to be realized. If we allow ourselves to join with others, with, let's see, what is that word? It's a word that we use for consent. If we join with others with our consent, with our alignment, personal alignment and alignment with others, all will be well. If we get roped into working and being with others, then we're going to maybe lead ourselves into some trouble. So we don't want to do that. But we want to allow ourselves to be in a consensual relationship with others, whether it's romantic or a work relationship or a friendship relationship or just a relationship of performing in general commerce in society, like going into a store and having a relationship of purchasing from a seller. We want our relationships to be of consensual nature, knowing that they could become intense. But we want to work hard. We want to be trustworthy. And if we don't damage others, we will be okay. I think that's what this is all pointing to. And that's all part of the cautionary advice, I think, that we got from the earlier spread of this last time. That's why I keep thinking, watch that video before coming back to here, because what I just said will make a lot more sense, I think. Don't you? If you think so, let me know in the comments below. And friends, here we are. Here we are at the end of this reading. Again, if you're interested in these decks, there will be a link there will be 2 links in the description box below. Let me know what you think of this reading. If you would read this differently, let me know in the comments below. If you thought if you realized something while we were looking at the cards together, let me know in the comments below. I'd like to learn from you as well. Also, if you want a reading from me, my email address is down there. Shoot me an email to thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com and we'll get you a reading. Okay, friends? Thank you very much. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. We're almost at the 500 mark. And so thank you, all of you, for showing your support and your interest. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.